Hey everybody. Hey, it's me. It's me. It's so good to see y'all. Oh my gosh. Hey, listen, I know that we're I gotta tell y'all, by the way, I had a change of plans. So I had to pre-record this. So I'm going to forewarn y'all that this is pre-recorded, but I promise it's going to be as good as it would be if it was not pre-recorded. So anyway, hey everybody, I'm Angelique. I am here. It is the same day, by the way. It is Sunday, June 6th, I think today is. I'm all over the place. And this is episode number 6 of my podcast, Silent No More. And this one was by request. This topic was by request. And so it's titled Reflecting on the Flags, the Signs of Abuse I Missed. And I'm going to really focus today on what should have been the early signs that we would call the yellow flags. The things I should have really caught early on. I actually am excited about this episode, and I'm going to tell you guys this. As I was preparing, I told you I really prepare every week for these. I research, I really, go back in time and I think through what occurred. And oh my gosh, like in preparing for this, I was just like, God, like hindsight really is 2020, but it's all good. So I'm gonna stick to my typical structure. I'm happy to see all of you. I refer to you every week as courageous kings and courageous queens because from my perspective, it takes just that. It takes a level of courage that people do not understand to first of all recognize of you're in a wrong situation, you're in a bad situation, and to actually find your way out of it is a whole other level. But people who are on this podcast watching just because you know something's up with your relationship, even that alone takes courage. So I am proud to have you all here. You guys know who I am. I'm Angelique Pierce. I am a survivor of domestic violence. I am a speaker of truth and I want freedom. And I'm also the founder of Ladder Masters Inspirational Leadership Group, better known as Ladder Masters. And I always tell you, I created Ladder Masters for 3 purposes and only 3. And I mean that I am here to bring awareness, to break down facades, because I hate facades, to bring awareness, break down facades, and build conquerors. And so that's what I'm here to do every week, specifically through the dimension of domestic violence awareness. All right. So I always start with the prayer. I don't want to forget that. Last week, I almost forgot to say my prayer. So let's all just take a moment because this is me going back into time and talking about some things that, my God, I feel like I should have just understood. So some of this prayer is going to be for me, to be quite honest. All right. So, Father, we just come before you, thanking you. Thank you yet again for another episode of Silent No More, because we cannot be silent on such a topic as domestic violence. That's the part of the problem. A part of the problem is that people are silent, silent in shame, silent in guilt, silent in regret. So many reasons to be silent, thinking you might lose relationships, your job, whatever it may be. But God, I am a speaker of freedom and truth. And that is what I'm here to bring today. So, Father, I just ask that you prepare me. You have been preparing me, but continue to even speak to me through this podcast because I need to hear from you through your Holy Spirit to just keep me focused. I have so much to share. I probably won't even get to it all. But I thank you right now for the voice you have given me that has brought me out of that darkness and out of that silence and into a place of light, purpose, and strength that I can share with anyone and everyone who is listening. And every single time these podcasts get shared and reshared, Father, I thank you for those who are here to support me. I thank you for your love, protection, and guidance. And again, I thank you for this voice because it is powerful and I will never shut my mouth. In Jesus' name, I thank you and pray. Amen. Amen. All right, y'all. So, this topic is something else. It's something else. Anyway, I got to acknowledge, as I always do, one of my favorite people in the world. She calls me her big sister, but God, I'm like, this is my sister. So anyway, it's Miss Chantel Evans, known as Queen Unique. She is the founder of Unique Blessings and thus Unique Blessings, this broadcast that I'm on, the UB Podcast Network. I am so grateful to be a part of this family and connected to this network. There's many more of us that are participating in it and doing podcasts. It's a phenomenal thing. It just is. And not just podcasts, every single message, every single event that we hold with the youth, with adults, you name it. It's all phenomenal. I'm proud to be a part of it. But I also want to do a special thank you. And this thank you is to all of you because I am just grateful for the support that you have all given me along the way. I mean, you never know what's going to happen when you put yourself out there like this. When you go about the process of telling people something that's taboo about your life or something that you kept secret for so long, friends that you didn't speak to, people that didn't even know what was going on. And then you step out and you say, forget it. I'm not hiding a thing. What is there to hide? Why am I ashamed? I didn't abuse myself on purpose. I didn't do that to myself. So I'm just grateful to all of you, my kings, my queens, who are standing by me, have stood by me, and continue to do so today as I bring forth these messages to all of you. So anyway, I've been receiving all kinds of messages, all kinds of responses, text messages, phone calls, Facebook messages, all kind of stuff from survivors, from victims, from people who know survivors and victims, to organizations that want a speaker, churches that want a speaker. I'm just grateful. And that's all I want to say before I get there. But to my victims and to my survivors, there are just so many of you. I mean, there's so many of us. And so I'm glad that I can speak for you when you can't speak. I can research for you when you can't research. I could just share when you can't share. So I'm standing as a proxy for you. I'm standing in the gap, as we say, for you. And so anyway, I'm going to keep going because I got a lot to say today. Now, today's episode is titled "Reflecting on the Flags: The Signs of Abuse I Missed." It's about me and what I missed. So when I tell you guys that this is not easy, it's never easy to look inward, right? It's never easy to look at yourself and look at your situation for all that it is and all that it ain't. How about that? It's not easy to do that. But people always ask me questions like, so how did the abuse start? I get the question in many different ways. How did the abuse start, or when did it start? And it's interesting because when I think about it, it really started long before I even knew it started. And a part of that is because I didn't have squarely in my mind a definition of abuse that was the proper definition of abuse. In my mind, if a woman was being abused, she had a black eye. I say this all the time. She had a black eye. She had a broken something. She had teeth missing. She had bruises on her arms or something around her neck that showed she had been strangled. Those are the things, or blood coming from somewhere. Those are the things that I knew of abuse. Seeing women, I've seen this, women in the street getting kicked in their butts, literally kicked in their butts by the men that they were dating or married to, kicked and then falling to the ground. And I'm like, you good? You need my help? Yo. And I'm talking, back up, dude. That's not cool. That's not cool. That's what I saw. I saw or understood physical abuse. I didn't understand. God, I didn't understand what it all really, really was. And so, anyway, I can't say much more about that because it just is what it is. I'm getting messages. Sorry, guys. I can't say much more about that. It's just that I didn't have a proper definition. And by not having a proper definition, I didn't have a place or a space to put what was happening to me that hadn't quite gotten to the physical. That's why we miss these yellow flags, because we're looking for somebody to call us a bitch. We're looking for somebody to punch us in the face. We're looking for all these things that don't start out that way. It don't. I ain't saying it doesn't. It don't. It don't start out that way because they need time to build up to it because they got to test you all along the way. So let me keep going. Last week, I got a very specific question. And that person made me know they weren't even from this area. They were from another part of the United States. That person made me know. She made me know that I had to get on here and talk about this. The stuff that I missed. And I'm out here preaching to y'all now, but I missed some stuff too. So anyway, thank y'all for using my Q&A. I want to say that. Thank you guys for using my Q&A because it's from that, these questions that I'm getting, this follow-up. Some of it is private, whether it's open, publicly open, or it's private. It's some of these things that's helping me to know what to talk about next and what you need. And so, anyway, I appreciate all of you. You're phenomenal. All right. So, back to this week's topic. I'm going to dig into these yellow flags. Bear with me because just remembering some of it is tough, but not just any yellow flags, not just any yellow flags, but my yellow flags. The yellow and some the ones that are like in between yellow and red, I like to call pink, the pink flags that probably should have really I really should have known. The not quite red flags, but if I was really on my game, if I was really on my game, they might as well have been red flags, right? They might as well have, if I was really on my game. So anyway, I'm gonna keep going, but I want to say this because, and I'm not saying this for y'all, honestly, I'm saying it for me. Typically, I do my positive affirmations at the end. Today, I'm going to do them at the beginning to feel myself before I even start. Okay. Yeah. Because I have to remind myself that in spite of all the things I'm about to say, I was never to blame. I was never to blame for what happened in my life. I didn't ask for it. I didn't desire what happened. I was never to blame. And it's important that I remind myself of that, that this happened to me, this happened to others, so I'm not alone. And there are people who love me, who are around me, that protected me, that stuck by me, that supported me. So no matter what he tried to create, I was not alone, and I am not alone now. I am not alone now. I was stronger, and I am stronger than I knew. That is important. He tried to define me, but I define me. God defined me first, but I define me, not him. So I'm saying all this to myself. I'm speaking it out loud, as I say, to my own voice, to the hearing of my ears, and to your ears as well, because this stuff is important. And that I could break free, and I did. That I could leave, and I did. That I am a survivor, not just a victim, but a survivor. And I love that. That I was able to overcome with all the support around me what he tried to do. Now I'm about to get into the stuff. All right, so whew, here we go. I told y'all before, and y'all know I don't give up a moment to teach. I am a teacher by nature. And so I don't give up any of those moments. So here I go. As you go through the dating process, these are things I said before. As you go through the dating process, flags, if you call them that, flags will appear. And these are the flags that we talk about. They help you define the relationship as either healthy, unhealthy, or just downright abusive. Like, you need to run, sis. You need to run, sir, right? Those flags, they appear during the dating process, early, middle, end, whatever, they do appear. And the thing about this is that we tend to overlook those things. The things that should make us say, hold up, wait a minute, as I like to say, wait a minute. The things that should make us flat out like be out and be gone and deuces, but we don't. These flags are like traffic signals. They really are. And they are the ones that are supposed to help you to know how to proceed in your relationship, bottom line. So they should help you know if you should continue dating this person. They should help you determine if the relationship is even healthy at all or worthwhile being involved in. They should help you see the things that might make the relationship work and what might make it difficult to even continue. The things that we should pay attention to. All right, one more thing. Flags are not, I said this before, they are not events. They're not a single situation. They are patterns of behavior that we should all pay attention to and watch out for. So, for instance, if you go on a date and it's a really, really nice date, and he was a perfect gentleman and it was a great night, that is not a flag. That's not a green flag. It was an event. Nice. You need a second one and probably a third one to know the real deal and probably past that. Not an event. Remember, I'm going to say this, I say this all the time. Abusers, their one thing they cannot stand is time. And the reason they can't stand time is because all of them, every bit of them, is a facade. What I tell y'all, I'm here to break down facades. I can't stand them. I went through a terrible facade for over 6 years. Total facade. If you make them wait, if you wait them out, If you slow down the dating process and not let them move it along, because that's what they do, they try to move it along, you will have time. What I say abusers hate, they hate time. You will have the time to see the flags. I didn't give it enough time. Most of us didn't give it enough time. We moved in too fast. We had sex too, let's start with that. We had sex too fast. We let them move in too fast, or we moved in with them too fast. We got engaged too fast. We got married too fast. We had kids too fast. Listen to me. Time. They can't stand it because they can only hide their mess for so long. So, all right, let's talk about green flags real quick. We all know green means go. We get that. We drive cars. So if it's a green flag, it means that you can continue. Green means healthy. Green means good. It means you can continue in the relationship from what you see at this moment, right? The pattern that you see at this moment. You're comfortable being with that person. You have similar goals and similar interests. All good things, right? Like I said that like Olaf. All good things. All good things. The way the other person handles difficult situations seems to be level headed. That's a good thing. In harmony, even if you are a Christian, with the gospel truths, how they handle difficult situations, that's important. The other person desires to do what's right. They desire to improve. They desire to put you first to ensure that you are happy, not just them, but that there is happiness and balance in the relationship. Those are the green flags. Those you can recognize. Good stuff, right? Yellow flags. Yellow flags mean slow down, proceed with caution, and they can range. These ones are hard to like really, really come or notice sometimes to catch. Strong, clear differences in personality or interests and preferences. Gotta pay attention to those things. When they are strong differences, clear differences, preferences, interests. Okay. Why am I forcing this to work? Don't force fit it. Communication struggles, meaning regular or frequent arguments, talking over you. I experienced all of that, especially the regular or frequent arguments. Oh my gosh. Talk about the yellow flags. They love to talk about themselves. Ooh. God, I didn't even know this was a yellow flag. That's what pisses me off. If I would have known about these flags at the time, this one would have been a clear flag. You want to talk about a person that talked about themselves? Ooh, Jesus. Boasting. Always got a story about how amazing he was and what he did and how much money he had and all the places he's traveled to and oh my God, just the types of cars he's driven over. Man, uh, had I known that those were yellow flags, gosh. Anyway, intense reactions that are not appropriate for the circumstances. The 0 to 9, the 0 to 7, the 0 to 10 in situations like, I broke your pencil. You broke my pencil? That's my pen. I had that pencil since I was 6. Okay, wait a minute. But it's a pencil though. That's what I mean. I'm being silly with the pencil thing, but I mean the pencil thing. That kind of stuff. Trying to control you, who you hang out with, what you look like, demanding to know what you're doing, where you are, what your hair looks like, what your clothes look like. I know how to dress. I got this. I know how to dress. I got this. Okay, all right. Constantly demanding your attention, phone calls, unannounced visits, all that kind of stuff. Struggling to control their finances. Whoa, I am tapping the table because that was a real one. Oh, stuff I wish I just would have. Okay, moving the relationship along too quickly. Moving it along. It's a real thing. It happens because they need to. Because what did I say earlier? What's the thing that abusers that can't stand? They can't stand time. Time is too long. They got to move this thing forward. They need that train getting down the track. They need to get this thing done. They need you trapped. They need you caught up in that web because they are absolutely spiders. Red flags. They mean full stop. Stop. Time out. Quit. Nope. Those are things like belittling you, mockery, ridiculing you and putting you down. Violent behavior. I said this before. Violent behavior of any kind. Listen to me. Any kind. Don't make excuses. Any kind. Where he just broke my TV. I say any kind of violent behavior where he broke and smashed the radio in my car. Any kind. But he didn't hit me. Any kind of violent behavior is a red flag, period. Exclamation mark. Did I say it? You got me. Okay, good. Rage is out of control, but can maintain composure around other people. Oh, my ex was perfect at that, especially when it was time to go to church. Mm. Especially in church. Disgusts me. Financial problems they don't want to talk about. Stuff that they just, don't even go there, don't ask. Wants you all to him or herself, meaning you end up stop spending time with your friends and your family because this person is demanding all of you because they need to control you, isolate you. If they isolate you, therein lies the control. Been there, done that. I got the hat to prove it. Sure do. Addictions or moral problems they refuse to talk about. Drugs, gambling, pornography, all that. All of it. All right. I like to teach. That was my teaching moment. Pay attention. I mean it all. Okay? All right. Now let's take inventory of me. I got about 40 minutes to bring this thing home. Stay with me, y'all. Okay? Let's get back to me and my yellow flags. Thank you for asking. This is going to be interesting. Yes, there are quite a few key events, or should I say, pivotal conversations or moments that stand out to me as yellow flags. Things that I should have literally investigated further. You were never to blame. You were never to blame. Okay. Interactions that should have made me slow down. Like for real. I I said it earlier. Hindsight is 2020, man. It just but you know what? Here's the thing, and this is what I want you to do. If you are a victim or survivor of domestic violence, I want you to take a moment and stop because I'm going to do something that we all should do. Not even if you're just a domestic violence victim, but I think that you should do this. And I'm going to talk about me, where I was at the time of my life when I met this guy who I thought was my one. Clearly not. Let me dig into me because domestic violence isn't only about the abusers. It's also about the victims and the survivors. It's also about us too. In a very specific way, it's about us. So, who was Angelique when I met my ex-husband? Who was I? Let's talk about that. What was going on in my life when he entered it? The backdrop or the setting to all of this is just as important as the rest of the story. I really believe that. And so get yourself a pen and paper if you need to, because you should be taking inventory of yourself and where you were at the time when you got involved with someone who eventually became an abuser. Or maybe this was your second time. Maybe this was your third abusive relationship. I've only had one, this one, that was domestic violence. But maybe for you, this is more than one. Take inventory of your life at the time. So I'm going to do that. I was living in Chicago from July 2004 to June of 2008. So my company was closing the office where I was, and I decided to relocate to another division of the company. So in June of 2008, I moved from Chicago to the Carolinas. That's how I got here. So I moved with Daimler, and I got my position here in the Carolinas, technically South Carolina, but I was living in Charlotte, North Carolina. Well, before I left Chicago, I was in church. I was a committed leader in the dance ministry, meaning I was teaching both adults and the youth. Like I had started a step team. Y'all know I'm a Delta, and I was a step mistress for many years, and I love to step. I love to dance, but step is my thing too. So I had started a youth step team at the church I was in. But I was in this relationship. I'll tell you this, in Chicago, I was in this relationship. Tanar and Rashida, if y'all listen, and y'all know who it is. We will leave him nameless because he's not that important to the story. But he is, but he's not. I was in a relationship with a guy who really wasn't worth my time. He really wasn't. And I got out of that mess shortly after I had moved to the Carolinas. And I was being abstinent for a little bit over a year. And I was waiting, literally waiting on God for God to send me my one. Because according to the older ladies in the church, that's what happens. I remember them specifically telling me that God will send my man as far as the east is from the west, that he will send me my husband as far as the east is from the west. I remember those exact words and they stuck with me in my head. Let's keep talking about that. I had my head on straight. I was career chasing. I was climbing the corporate ladder. My money was good. I was doing just great. I was still trusting God that he would bring my husband to me as far as the east is from the west. I bought my first home. That's going to come up later, okay? I bought my first home by myself as a single woman. I went to this is a nice house, 4 bedrooms with a loft, which was like a fifth bedroom, 3 full bathrooms, corner property. I mean, I was good. Y'all hear me? It was just me. Okay. Credit was straight. Got a 2% interest rate. I ain't playing. I was doing well. I even went to K Jewelers. Listen to me. I went to K Jewelers and I bought myself not one, not two, but 3 pieces of diamond jewelry. Y'all listening? 3 pieces of diamond jewelry. Why? Because I could, but also, but also because I didn't want, this was a real thing I told myself. I didn't want some man to come along and flash a diamond ring in front of me. Oh, girl, this ring, I want to marry you. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, he said he wanted to marry me. You know, y'all cry, be fan. I didn't want to be all surprised and all over the place when that happened. So I bought myself my own diamonds, like, okay, well, thank you, but I could buy that for myself. And what else you got? That was my plan. What else you bringing to the table? Anyway, that was the plan. I made some great friends, new work friends, new mentors. I had joined a church when I got to the Carolinas. I joined the dance ministry. I met so many good people. I was heavily involved. I was really doing all right. And then I met my ex-husband in February of 2010. Right. And guess what? He had come from the West all the way to the East. Oh, wow. Did God just send me my one? Oh. He had come as far as the West was from the East, and East is from the West, right? Wow, look at that. Amazing. Not so much. All right, let me keep going. So, yellow flag, signs of abuse I missed. Let's talk about the pre-living together. I'm going to give it to y'all real. Let's talk about before he and I lived together. Anybody heard the phrase love bombing? Love bombing. Yes. Let me read the definition. Love bombing is an attempt to influence a person by demonstrations, and I mean heavy demonstrations, of attention and affection. The person overwhelms the victim with loving words or physical actions, all for the purpose of manipulation. Anybody been there but me? It's a real thing. Love bombing is a real thing. Remember, I told you it's all connected. Remember, I told you that abusers don't like time. They don't like time. So they have got to get you like, oh my God, this is a perfect match. Like, look how well we get along. And oh my God, he like does things just like I like him to. He buys things. He likes the same restaurants. He's like bringing me gifts. They need you to feel this affection and attention that's so amazing that you feel like this is a match made in heaven. And they do it quickly. And did he do it quickly? Yes, he did. And I never heard the phrase love bombing. So I'm telling you so that you will. God, it just makes me so frustrated. I just feel like, where was I? Like, where were all these words and all this research when it was my turn? Dang. Anyway, examples. I was amazing to him. I was so smart. I was so sexy. Funny how later I was the smartest dumb bitch he ever knew. Okay, that was later though. But in the beginning, well, in the beginning, I was amazing. I was so smart. I was so sexy. Now the sexy part, that's true though. That part right there, that's that's true. Okay, all right. He couldn't get enough of me. I mean, talking to me, stopping by, talking, taking me out. Oh, he couldn't get enough, and you know what? I couldn't get enough of him. Let's be real. I liked how I felt with him. It felt amazing. It did. It felt amazing. I was enjoying the attention. Who doesn't? Like, okay, rewind. Did y'all remember what I said earlier? I was abstinent. I had left a relationship that was poop. And look, here comes the one that shows up that seems to just be doing it all. He listen, let me tell y'all something. The first time he came to my home, no, sorry. The first time he was like at my home for like a while, because he had been there a few times, just visits. But this time he was actually there, like even when I had left out and came back. When I came back, guess what? Y'all ready for this? The man had cooked me salmon. I don't even like salmon, but it was so good. I couldn't believe it. I don't like fishy fish. Whatever he did to it, it was delish. You hear me? It was delish. So he made salmon, a baked potato, and like, dolled it up or whatever, and some asparagus. That man cooked for me. Y'all hear me? He was paying attention. But anyway, that wasn't it. I got a black leather coach purse. I got a brown leather coach purse. I got a Tiffany necklace and a Tiffany bracelet. Listen, he knew what he was doing. I love jewelry. Y'all ever pay attention? Listen, I'm a jewelry person. Y'all should see my jewelry cabinet. I have my own cabinet of jewelry. I'm into it. He knew what he was doing. Listen, y'all, though, here's the thing. He asked me a ton of questions about my past relationships, about my family, about my goals, my desires, all kind of stuff. Did you want children? Da 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 da. I didn't have any. I was never married, right? And I remember this. I remember him asking me the same questions more than once, like three times. And it by like the third time, it stood out to me. The second time, you're thinking you must just, excuse me, you must just not remember, right? Um, but he asked me like a third time, and I thought, this is really weird. Like we've already talked about this, and I actually said something. Like I called him out on it. Like, you asked me this before. Why are you asking me again? Let me tell you, he said something like, I just wanted to make sure that I had it right. No, y'all, listen to me. He didn't want to make sure he just had it right for the sake of having it right. He wanted to make sure he had it right because he was making a plan for how he was going to use that information to his advantage, thus against me in the future when I wasn't even ready or expecting it. So please watch how much you disclose. Don't tell it all, especially not too soon. And pay attention to the repeat questions because the repeated questions is to make sure they understand where the gap is, where the crack is in the dam that they can slip through and take advantage of your pain, of your naivete, or whatever it is. That's what they're checking for. So, pre-living together, when he and I decided to live together, here was the story. Uh, I remember it was like, oh, my land. He was living in a condo at the time, very nice condo, I will tell you that, 2 bedrooms, whatever, right off a lake. He was living in a condo. It was very, very nice. And the story I was told was he was paying his rent, and the landlord was not taking his rent and paying the mortgage for the property, and so the landlord was losing the property. And I'm like, what? You gotta be kidding me. Who does that? That's ridiculous. And he like, yup, ain't that crazy? Da, 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 da. So he's acting like he's got this problem situation happening with his living thing. Now, at that point, he and I were seeing each other like crazy, literally never stop being around each other. Listen to me. Don't do this. But I'm gonna tell y'all what was happening. Don't do this. I would go to his place on a Friday night after work. I would stay till Monday morning, drive all the way back to Fort Mill or Charlotte, go to work. He would pack his stuff and come down to my place and stay the entire week because his job was closer to where I lived. When I tell y'all there was never a time we were separated, it was like there was never a time we were separated. That's what happened when we started living together. But that was the story that came before we started living together. It was all about this landlord who wasn't paying the bill, this, that, and the other, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, for real? For real? That's messed up. And I believed it. And I shouldn't have. I should not have believed that. But my best friend, I have two best friends, Tanara and Rashida. So when I say best friends, it could be either one. In this case, I'm talking about Tanara. Tanara was like, wait a minute. Y'all about to do what? I'm like, oh, we're gonna live together. He's gonna move in here. We're together all the time anyway. And you know, like I end up at his place and he ends up at my place, and we're always together. So what difference is it making? We can just, you know, split the money and share the rent costs, and I can be paying down my mortgage fast. And I had all these reasons for why it was all good that he moved into my place. Let me tell you, my bestie Tanara hated this. She told me, she was like, wait a minute, y'all know my nickname is Shorty. She's like, Shorty, okay, first of all, why can't he provide a place for you to move into? I'm like, oh, well, his place is rented. I'm the one with the mortgage, right? Always got something to say back. I'm the one with the mortgage. His place is rented, so it just makes sense. No, it doesn't. This is my bestie. No, it don't. He should be providing a place for you to move into. What is he bringing to the table? He moving into your spot. You should be able to move into his spot. I love her. Listen, you want the real raw answer? Call Tanara. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Then we had another situation where after I don't know if he was living with me at the time or what. I think he was living with me at the time, so I'm skipping ahead. But I remember this is another Tanara story. He and I were going to take a trip to the West Coast. I forget what it was for, but we were preparing to leave, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to wear. It was so this whole big thing about what I was going to wear and how my hair was going to be, and it was really over the top about what I was wearing and what my hair was going to be. And I remember talking to her. I was on my back porch, on the back deck, talking to Tanara, and I'm telling her about this trip, how we going to the West Coast for whatever it was. And I was telling her about my outfits and what I was trying to figure out what to wear, and that he wanted me to wear this, and that he wanted my hair to do this and that. And she's like, hold up, wait a minute, Shorty. And she flat out told me that it sounded like a situation she knew of, that this was all about control, that this was all about trying to control my appearance, and controlling my hair is not a good thing. He sounds controlling, Shorty. He sounds controlling. And I'm like, no. I mean, no, he's not. I mean, it's just that this is an important event and we're just trying to figure it out. And I made it like we were figuring it out together. No. The truth is, she was calling it right. She called that ball right. It was control. But I saw it as, well, he likes to dress really, really nice, and he likes things a certain way. So he just wants to make sure. Let me flip this page right here. All right. Now, y'all got to remember, like I said, though, there were things going on in the background. My desires, me being abstinent, getting caught up in a new sexual relationship. They were just things. Him coming across. This is the interesting part. Him being a part of this church thing, right? This church thing. And I wanted a godly man. Oh gosh, that's a whole other story, y'all. That church part is a whole other story that needs its own episode, which maybe I will dedicate an entire episode to the church and domestic violence. Because that alone, just even bringing it up right now, just gets to me. But I told y'all before, he pimped God. He pimped church. He played church and pimped God because he knew what I cared about. But that wasn't what he really cared about. When I say at all, I mean at all. And I didn't understand that. I didn't understand that it was his circle that he was using to validate him. I'm skipping around right now, but I got to say this because I got here somehow. His circle that was around him, that is what I allowed to validate him. This Christian thing, that wasn't who he was. That wasn't his core beliefs. But I allowed the people around him to validate him. But I was also looking for what I wanted, y'all. I know it. I was looking for what I wanted. And the bits of light that I saw coming out of him that looked like what I wanted spiritually, I allowed those little rays of light to illuminate my entire mind. The church thing and domestic violence really, really gets me. I'm getting chills right now. I'm going to move past this topic because that is a whole other episode that I really need to plan, really, really plan. And I will, I promise. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to say this. I'm going to run down a list of things, okay? Because before living together, I realized something I didn't learn. I didn't learn the importance of trusting but verifying. Gosh, listen to me, y'all. Trust but verify. I got lies about this. Everything from the very first conversation that he was new to the area. He told me he was new to the area and that he had never done it. By the way, we met online dating. That he had never done the online dating thing, that he was new to this area, and that he was just trying to meet people. When I tell you that was the biggest, from day one, it was a lie. Lied about his education level. Why? Because I had 2 master's degrees. So he had to look like or sound like he could and should be able to date me. Said he'd been to college. Don't get me started. Not ever stepped a day, ever, ever, never, ever in his life on a college campus for school. Okay. Never, ever. Trust, but verify. I should have been like, let me see your diploma, your degree. I should have. Mine, I got framed. See mine. Said he was divorced when I met him, but he wasn't. He was not, y'all. Oh, God. He said he was divorced. And can I tell you the truth? The truth was he was in the middle of divorcing when I met him. I met him February 2010. His actual divorce wasn't final until October of 2010. So the entire time I was dating him, falling in love, seeing him, all of that, sex, all of that, he was married. It turns my stomach because I specifically asked that question and it was a lie. I was told that there was a house in like Arizona or somewhere that he had left to his ex-wife. He just left it to her. I should have verified. That was a whole lie. There was no house. All right. Lied about the divorce paperwork. Get this. This is one of those pivotal moments. I have a few pivotal moments that if I just would have said something else or asked another question, things could have been different. I was visiting him. Check this out. I was visiting him. And there was a folder, like a big white envelope. And I remember coming over and seeing it. And he must have saw that I saw it, right? So he saw that I saw it out the corner of my eye. And he grabbed it and moved it. And because he grabbed it after me seeing it, I said, "What's that?" "Oh, that's my divorce papers," is what he said. What he meant was, that's my in process divorce papers. And I, having been told he was divorced already, didn't check. I said trust but verify. If I just would have said, "Oh, let me see that. Let me see that envelope. Let me see that you really are divorced." Because I had the right to ask, honestly. I had the right to ask, but I didn't. I would have opened that envelope and I would have seen that the divorce was in process, that he was still married, which is a no, no, no for me. Ugh. He lied about the fact that there were only 2 divorces. Did you just hear what I said? He lied about the fact that there were only 2 divorces. I thought, based on all the stories and the perfect explanations he had for why he had been divorced, that I was the third wife. I thought I was wife number 3. Truth is, I was wife number 4. Can you imagine that? And guess what? I didn't find out I was wife number 4 until I was married to him for 5 years. God, trust but verify. Trust but verify. He lied about not ever being evicted. That was a huge lie. If I had just run one of those cheap background checks, if I'd have spent that money, I would have found out the multiple number of evictions on his record. I've never had any to this day. Never. Nothing. Nope. Financial nonsense. I told you about the landlord saying that the land, this and I don't even know if that's true. I could care less, but that was a story that I still don't believe to this day. I remember a few times, this was another flag. I remember a few times his cell phone would just be off. And when I tried to reach him, and I was like, what is going on? I just talked to him yesterday or last night or whatever. And then it'll be back on in like a day or two later. And I would like, what's the deal with your phone? Like again? And he would make excuses. Oh, I had this issue with drama with the phone company. They this, they that, they did this and they did that. Or I just forgot to pay the bill. Sometimes I don't try to pay the bill till right when it's due because I don't want to give people my money in advance. Sorry, I made a laugh. I like to pay it when it's actually due because I ain't trying to give nobody my money in advance, and I just forgot. ah, okay. Of course, later I discovered the patterns of overspending, sneaking and stealing money, even my money later that came up, spending well beyond his means. Oh my gosh, not paying his debts. The list goes on and on, y'all. It goes on and on. It just, anyway, let me keep going. Other flags. He had this way of diminishing me regarding my relationship experience. Um, and because I had never been married, because I didn't have any kids, right? Because I hadn't been where he'd been, he would say things like, "Well, you've never been married, so you don't know X, or you don't have kids, so you don't know Y." It was like that kind of stuff, all for the purpose of making himself seem bigger and more wise and more advanced and more ahead of me and more experienced than me, so that he would be considered as the voice of reason and the knowledge. Get out of here, dude. Whatever, man. I got to tell y'all this one story that's so important. So, so important. This is one of those pivotal stories that if I tell you nothing else, this is the most pivotal story that if I had just caught this one, if I had just caught this one, I would have been okay. Gosh. Okay. My mom was in town. This was before he and I lived together. He was still, living in his condo. My mom came into town. She had met him one time in Philadelphia, but it was very brief. So she was in town for whatever length of time, a week probably, and I took her to go see him so they could spend time around each other. And it was very fun. We had a really nice time, to be quite honest. I was actually surprised, and we took pictures and all kind of stuff, right? Well, after that, I had a plan that my mom and I were going to go visit my friend Marcus, who I had known since I moved to the Carolinas back in 2008. This was a friend that my mom knew, his mom and my mom and his dad, and the whole thing. We had this whole friendship going on. He was a part of my crew of moving to when I moved to the Carolinas. So I had this crew here. So after the night was ending with at his place, me, my mom, and him, I said, "All right, we're about to go visit my friend Marcus, and we can go hang out with Marcus for a bit, so my mom can see Marcus." Ooh, ooh. Why did I tell him that? Oh my gosh. He actually took a moment and then pulled me to the side because he wanted to talk to me. And his words were, "You leaving me to go spend time with another man?" Now, wait a minute. Let's back up. Marcus was my coworker. He actually, at the time, was my analyst. So he kind of worked for me, but not reported to me directly, but worked for me kind of. uh Years younger than I am. I mean, this was my straight up homie. Like, y'all, like Marcus, if you watch this, we know, right? This is my dude. So he was like, my ex was like, "You leaving me to go spend time with another man?" I was like, "What?" And I'm like, are you talking about? Like, this is my friend, like my friend. And it was, you never listen, you never properly introduced me to this person, and yet you're about to go over his house right now at night. Oh, when I tell you he was painting the picture, I got to tell y'all this story. This story is important. If I tell y'all nothing else, it's so important. So it became this really intense thing. When I came out the room from talking to him, my mom is like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Nothing. Let's just go. Let's just go." And we get in the car, and all the way driving back to my place, I was quiet. I was anxious. I wasn't really talking. My mom is like, "Baby, what is going on?" So I kind of told her some of the details, but I didn't tell her all of what happened, but she got the gist of it. Let me tell you, my mom is so smart. She's so awesome. Let me tell you what she said to me in the car. Now I just want y'all to take this and Lord, like, go with it and think about it and just apply it. She said two different things, but the one thing she said was, She said, baby, don't let somebody convince you that something is blue when it's pink. Don't let somebody convince you that something is blue when it's pink. She was basically saying, that's some bull, right? It ain't got nothing to do with that. Don't let him tell you this. That's not what's going on. It's not about Marcus. It's not about that. It's not. This is manipulation. This is control. This is him trying to paint some picture in your head that's not true. This is crap. She was trying to tell me. So what happened? We drove right past Marcus's place. Didn't even stop over. I called him and made up some excuse. I'm sure he remembers this. I made up some excuse for why we couldn't come anymore. I don't even remember what I said. It was some crap, some lie. Didn't go. I listen to me, y'all. My mom was in town to visit me. Guess what I did? I dropped her off back at my house and I turned myself around, drove myself 35, maybe 40 minutes back to where he lived. My ex lived. I told him I was on my way and I was coming back. When I came to the door, he opened the door. He was crying a freaking river. Like he was so broken, like he was in so much emotional pain that I was willing to leave him to go visit another man. But then he was so happy and he felt so whatever that I came back for him. This happened. I drove all the way back to do what? I comforted him. Sometimes when I think about this story, I get so upset with myself. But you were never to blame. You were never to blame. And you know what followed after that, right? You know what followed, right? On purpose. Intense sex. Intense. That moment was when sex became his weapon. That moment right there. Do you have any idea what I had just taught him about me? Do you have any idea what I just taught him about me? That I will drop my mom off. I will tell whatever story is to my good friend. I will leave everyone to come back and take care of him and make sure he's good. And I let him know that I'm paying attention to his jealousy and that I'm approving it. And I didn't even know I was approving it. I was approving his controlling behavior. I was approving that I should put him first no matter what. Oh my God, all the things, all the messages that I sent to him by doing what I did that day. Oh, ladies, pay attention. It was all crap. He wasn't jealous. He wasn't worried about Marcus. He could have cared less about Marcus. It was, how can I spin this? I had presented him with the perfect situation so that he can do what he needed to do to manipulate my thinking. And I didn't even see it. My mom tried to tell me, my bestie tried to tell me in her own ways. And before that, crazy. All right. I told you about this situation before. I'm moving ahead. I remember I got a promotion in 2010. During that time, he and I were still dating and he kept calling me at my new job. And I'm like, I'm busy. Like, I cannot just take these phone calls. Like, I'm trying to learn my new job. I had gotten a promotion. I had to be on my game. But he kept calling me. And I remember when I finally called him back in the afternoon, he said, you can't tell me that you didn't have 2 minutes to check on your man that you say that you love. You notice the twisting of love and checking on me, but I'm busy. If I had my head on straight, I'm telling you all kind of stuff. If I had my head on straight, I would have said, what are you, like 5 years old? You couldn't wait till my workday was done? What's your problem? You need to wait. Didn't have my head on straight. Didn't have my head on straight. All right. Post living together, I'm gonna run through these. I saw a lot of job hopping. In a job for 6 months. All of a sudden, there's a problem with the company. They ain't paying these commissions right. Lies, right? All kind of stuff. 6 months into another job, quitting, starting another job, quit, start another job, or not working at all. It was crazy. Nobody job hops like that. First, I just thought, wow, you're real good at getting jobs. I need to ask you about your interviewing techniques. That's what I thought at first. Then I realized it happened too many times. He was running from a bunch of things that I later found out about. There were pieces of mail coming from the state of California, coming from the IRS, all kind of stuff was happening. And them little pieces of mail was getting hidden. That was us at the point we lived together. All kind of stuff happening. He was moving things right along. I told you about that. Next thing I know, oh, just too much going on, y'all. We have to pay attention to these things. We have to. I remember how excited we were all living together. I remember how excited in the beginning he was to meet my family, get to know my family. I want to meet the people that love you. I want to meet all the people that love you, who you love. That's what it was, right? I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. That's so awesome. That's phenomenal. He wants to meet the people who love me. No, 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 no. He wanted to meet the people who love me to see who he had to knock out the box, who might be in his way, who might be a challenge to him controlling me and abusing me. That's all that was. That's all it was. But anyway, later on, when it was time to go back to Philly and visit those people, he would be in the car. He would, first of all, he would make us late to get on the road on purpose. Listen to me. He would make us late on purpose for getting on the road. That was common. Then when we were on the road, constantly creating arguments in the car. He had the nerve to tell me we were going to Philly to see my family. My family. In the car, he had the nerve to tell me, we get there. Don't be having me running all around the city seeing people. Uh, isn't that the whole purpose of going to visit family? I mean, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Oh my God. Even my grandmother, don't have me running around the country. You going, well, I ain't going. It was just drama all of a sudden. Then he didn't care no more. First, he cared about everybody. It was just ridiculous. Also, remember this, guys, ladies. I might stay on for a few extra minutes. Intense reactions that are not appropriate for the circumstances. I told y'all before about the pencil. Pay attention when somebody goes from 0 to 5 and 0 to 7 and 0 to 9 way too fast. Some stuff doesn't make sense. That happened all the time. Y'all, I always found myself apologizing. He would get really upset about something that to me just wasn't that big a deal. It was. I'm telling you, it wasn't. I know it wasn't. He would get pissed. And so what did I do? Because I'm more of a peacemaker type. I'm more diplomatic. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm sorry. Like I didn't know that that was really that big of a deal to you. My bad. Like, okay, I said I'm sorry. Like I don't know what else to say. And then next thing you know, he's on purpose still upset. On purpose still hurt. Why? Because he needs me to then be at his mercy, to be on the defense. Watch yourself always being on the defense. That is a strategy so that you are always on eggshells, walking on eggshells, constantly like checking his temperature. Is he upset right now? Is he good right now? Baby, everything okay? All that nonsense. It's strategic, ladies and gentlemen, because men get abused too. It's strategic to make you at their mercy, to make sure that you are always on the defense and they are always playing offense. I promise you that. I remember one day saying to him, I was like, why do I feel like I'm always in trouble with you? I remember saying that. But I didn't catch it was a pattern. Oh my God, I told y'all that. Oh God, I actually told y'all that flags are not events, they're patterns. And I actually spoke, wow. I actually spoke those words out of my mouth to him. I said, why do I feel like I'm always in trouble with you? But I didn't put it together. God, I mean, ah, I'm gonna tell y'all something real quick. I told you I'm gonna stay on for a few more minutes because I have to tell you something important. And it's kind of academic, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. It's called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. It is a theory. And I'm going to talk about cognitive dissonance in relationship to domestic violence. So let me read this to you. Cognitive dissonance is a theory that was developed by a psychologist. His name was Leon Festinger. It came out in like the 1950s. And the theory basically explains how people respond when their attitudes and beliefs don't match their behaviors. There's dissonance, there's a difference, there's a contradiction, if that makes sense. Okay. We as humans are driven to have what I would call harmony between our attitudes and our behaviors. Because if they don't, then there's the dissonance, there's the contradiction or the difference, and we can't, it's hard to resolve that in our minds. So the theory of cognitive dissonance explains why women, or part of why women stay with abusive male partners. Because what's happening is They're adapting their beliefs and their attitudes for the situation. So they do this so that there's no contradiction between the fact that staying with him is a problem with because I thought we were in love and it's supposed to be like this, but it feels like this, and I've got this dissonance. And so what do? You adjust your beliefs and your attitudes to match what's actually happening, because that way you don't have the dissonance, you don't have the contradiction. What do I mean? Okay, there are certain things that are supposed to happen in a good relationship, right? In a loving, supportive relationship. But what's happening in the relationship is actually personally and deeply harmful. What do? Well, you got to manage this clashing cognition. You got to manage that stuff, right? So what's happening is we as victims are consciously and sometimes unconsciously adopting perceptions to reframe. Are you listening? We adopt perceptions to reframe our partner's aggression, to reframe or minimize even, or to try to like reinterpret what it is that they're doing. We try to reinterpret this occurrence. The whole thing with my hair and how he told me I should have my hair a certain way. And my best friend was like, girl. And I'm like, no, it's just because this and that. Really? It's just that. No, it's not. It's a problem. When was the last time your daddy told you to change how to wear your hair and change your clothes, Angelique? When was the last time your mama told you how to wear your hair or wear your clothes, Angelique? They don't, because you're grown. So why should you be okay with this fool doing that? It's the cognitive dissonance. So I reframed it as something else than what it actually was. That is what we do. We got to stop that. Oh, God, I just remember all that. So we say things like, well, no marriage is perfect, right? No marriage is smooth all the way. Things happen. People have their problems. Wait a minute, no, boo boo. Abusive. It's abuse. We say things like, well, he wouldn't do this intentionally, would he? Why? Because you wouldn't? So you think he wouldn't? You think your personality is his personality? Two different people. I was never sure if he was like doing it intentionally, because, I mean, who would do those kind of really horrible things? Him. And as a matter of fact, he did it to other women in other marriages. But nobody knows because nobody's talking except me. Ain't playing those games. Ain't playing those games. I am not going to be the one that never opened my mouth. I'm going to speak it and I'm going to tell it because it needs to be told. It needs to be told. Waiting for the old him to come back, that was definitely me. I always thought I would get back to this person that I had at the beginning. You know, the Tiffany Coach buying one, the asparagus, baked potato, salmon making one, that one, that one. I thought I was getting back to that person. No, ma'am, no, sir. I was finding justifications for his behavior. I was. This is what happens in cognitive dissonance. Oh, he's stressed at work, or he's going through this thing with this job, or all this stuff is going on with his family, or whatever. Okay, that's excuses. Excuses are tools of incompetence. I pledged. Excuses are tools of incompetence that build monuments to nothingness, and those who specialize in them are seldom good at anything else. Excuses. The bottom line is it was an excuse for abuse. Did I just make that up? We have to coin that. Excuse for abuse. How about that? Mm, 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 mm. Or I was doing if I didn't do this, then he wouldn't have done that. And my friends are like, girl, what? No. The bottom line is he should never do that. Well, if I didn't do this, he wouldn't have done that. Whatever. Whatever. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up. What I want y'all to watch out for. So I was just talking about things that happen. What I want y'all to watch out for is a bunch of signs. It's a list here. Pay attention if the person is manipulative. They play games or they come across as insincere. Trust your gut. Trust it. Okay, trust your gut. The person does not seem to feel guilt or remorse. They are very envious and jealous. My friend Marcus, y'all heard my story. Y'all heard the story. Listen to me. And there's plenty more of it like that. Superficial, overly concerned with image. Overly. That was definitely him. Because, listen to me, these people who are so focused on what's going on outside, I like to dress nice, but I'm not overly concerned. I'm into jewelry, but I'm not overly concerned. Don't get me wrong. I'm not doing it for y'all. Kinda. I'm just kidding. I just love stuff, right? But superficial, overly concerned because you need your outer to look a certain way. Why? Because that inner is dark and it's a mess and it's devilish. That's why. So you're gonna wear all this stuff on the outside. What my mom say, you can put all the lipstick you want on a pig. My mom got a bunch of sayings. You can put all the lipstick all you want on a pig. Still a pig. Still a pig. Still a pig. Okay. Regularly creates intense arguments. Listen to me. I'm going down a list. Makes you feel like you're walking on eggshells. Lacks empathy or compassion. Can I add a conscience to that? Lacks empathy, compassion, or conscience. Never apologizes or only apologizes to reel you back in. Pay attention, people, to reel you back in. Insists that you are responsible for and you need to resolve every issue or problem that comes up between y'all. Goes back and forth between this Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind of personality. Okay? Displays sneaky. Oh, there was a lot of that. A lot of sneaky behavior, sneaky, insidious behavior. Projects their character flaws on you. They make it you and not them when you know it's not you, but they make it about you and they got a way of twisting the story to make it you. Has an addiction, sex, pornography, gambling, lying. Oh, they're all really, really good liars. Is never wrong. Never. It's always you. Often tells you everything you're not before praising you for the amazing person that you are. Been there, done that. Oh, gosh. I got the badge, the hat, the keychain, everything. All right. So I'm going to close. I told y'all, abusers, they hate time. They can't stand time. Wait them out. You will see the patterns. That's the only way to see the patterns. That's the only way is you'll see them, that you'll see them is if you give it time. Time. Last thing I'll tell y'all, I say it every week, that my sister's friend, her name is Jack, she said to me something I'll never forget because I kept focusing on him. I kept focusing on him, what he did to me. How dare he do that to me? I am so in pain. He. And she said, Shorty, stop focusing on him. It's not about him. She said, put a paper bag over his face and focus on the personality. We have to start to remember, recognize these dudes, these cats, these fools. We need to recognize them for who they are through the patterns of these personalities. Otherwise, we will get caught up in yet another and yet another and yet another situation of abuse that leads to domestic violence, that leads to all kinds of problems and could lead to death. There's so many women who have lost their lives to these kind of men. Listen, I don't want that to be you. And when I say it will never be me again, it will never be me ever again. Do I need to clap it up? Never be me ever again. Ever. Listen to me. I am doing what I can to serve every single one of you, to bring light, to your life, and to your understanding of domestic violence, and domestic violence awareness is so important. So whatever I can do, whatever topic you need me to hit, tell me, hit me up. Check out my stuff on Facebook, on LinkedIn. I know some of y'all are liking stuff and sharing stuff. I appreciate you guys. I'm putting all of my videos on YouTube so they're in a row so you can watch them in a row. You can watch whatever episode you need to right there on YouTube. I need these messages to get out because I love you guys. I love you and I don't even know some of y'all, but I care that much that this never happens to anyone. I know it's a problem and I can't stop it just by, recording one podcast, but I am doing what I can to make sure that I get this message as far as it can so that I can save, I tell y'all, even just one. Help just one. Anyway, this is the end. Pay attention to you. Pay attention to how you feel. Trust your gut. Trust your gut. Those yellow flags are real. If I had trusted my gut, if I had listened to my mom a little more, listened to my friend a little bit more, maybe I wouldn't be here. But at the bottom line is I would have trusted my gut. If I would have trusted, but then verified, if I would have asked a few more questions and really dug into some stuff that there was no proof of it, he was just saying it. If I'd have dug into it, I would not have been wife number 4. Ugh, I still can't resolve that. I was somebody's 4th wife. Keep it moving. And I had never been married at all. All right, y'all. I love y'all. I got to go. I gotta go. I kept y'all for a whole 11 minutes extra. Mwah, mwah, mwah. You guys are such a blessing to me. Thank you for coming here every Sunday. I will see y'all next Sunday. And my intention is to have a special guest. So I hope that all works out. All right, see y'all soon. Love y'all.